Hello, this is George Lees again. If you don't believe me, you'd better show you that this is George Lees again. Just made that tiny little video on Lady Randy Jenny Jerome, which is the naming of Jerome in the Nymphomaniac movie, and all of the cover-ups for all of the people in the acting team that are able to cover up the wives of Rothschild. Yeah, I'll explain that in a few minutes. Let's now show you the earliest possible broadcasts that the BBC made the same year as the Queen of England was coronated. Yeah, that's 1937, 2 years before the war that the Queen of England engaged in against her first cousin, Adolf Hitler, and his first cousin is Winston Churchill, who was the lover of Lady Randy Churchill, and she's called Lady Randy because she had over 200 lovers, but now that has been put down. And Churchill, let me show you the bloodline tree for Adolf Hitler. It's quite interesting, really. And it's got full Wikipedia profiles. Weitra, Hitler family, Wikipedia. Yeah, this one is not connected to Henry VIII and those English people that used to fight against the Germans in the war, because all of them are actually sired by Rothschild right through world history. This is the Hitler family, comprises the relatives and ancestors of Adolf Hitler, 1889 to 1945, where he died in the bunker, allegedly, an Austrian-born German politician and leader of the Nazi Party, Chancellor of Germany, head of state as Führer and Reichskanzler. He is in the central role of Nazism, and he was born right next to Spital, which is right down the road from Coldstream, and ultra near BREX. Not many people know that. There is Alois Schicklgruber, Adolf's father, and all of that is using the Rothschild semen to sire the babies. The other names are Hitler, Heidler, Hattler, Heitler, and Hitler, which was the only form of the last name. Sorry, we have to get rid of the embarrassing adverts. Because remember, this is Camilla's bloodline tree, and that was a camel eating a man's ear that I had to take off the corner of my screen at that point. Okay, there is Adolf Hitler, Alois Hitler, Paula Hitler, Angela Hitler, William Patrick Hitler. He's a famous man. He becomes an Irish journalist. And all of them are reincarnated, and he now works in the Crosskeys Hotel, which chucked me out and into jail for revealing that they run a secret society called the Bannatyne Society, formed and run by, as a mafia op, right through the history of the borders, and it's fascists. So there are let's just find a family tree for him. Family history, earliest family history, and this is the declaration that we are related to the family that is in the magical movies in Hollywood, and that is Peter Sellers and the earliest banking families in Germany. Yes, that is the Sellers family on the Hitler family tree. There's Stefan's family tree. Jacob Heidler, Barbara Heidler, Maria Heidler, Johann Heidler, and sorry, it's not easy because I've got 3 sites full, and that is me trying to find the bears, which is the name of Rothschild for the low-life family members that were the people that got executed for being the serial killers in the death camps in the war. That is another form of declaring that you're a Rothschild, but the rank for the family is much lower than the Rothschild rank, which is why the bears took the fall. Stefan Heidler, Debbie Harry, oh, there's Whitra, which is Spital. There it is. It's in the Czech Republic, which is why where Adolf Hitler went to get their massive, and we now have to cope with every 2 minutes a virus alert on my computer. Oh, and there's an interesting piece of information. That's Princess Margaret, one of her 2 lovers. The other one is somewhere behind her. They then make love together, all at the same time, and that is Little Sis's website, and the front and rear entries to Queen Margaret's, Princess Margaret's fanny and her arse. It's a lovely, lovely story, and all of them, that is the Queen and her sister, and they are both the children of Winston Churchill, and they are they are the half sisters of Bill Clinton, because he is sired by Churchill too, which is why he's called Billy Rex. That is Billy King Clinton, and there is the woman that they pretend is the parent of the current Queen. The real one fled to Denmark, and they had to replace her with a woman from the downstairs sector who was called a whipping boy. That is fake Bose Lion, and there are the parents, and there are the necessary tools. Okay, Churchill, British American Tobacco, Batman cigar tube semen samples, Churchill, Queen Elizabeth II, and Clinton's dad, Princess Margaret II, two black lovers at the same time, also Churchill's daughter, and that is the launch of the Moustique Love Island by David Bowie, who's a Nazi from the Bowie tribes in the Alps, which is why Bose Lion is an attractive marriage for the Windsors. Yeah, that is Bowie and Bose. All of them are nicknames for the actual fake monarchy that are all bastards. And then the generations before, every one of the monarchy was sired by Rothschild, and every one of the world leaders was too. Aren't they beautiful looking women? Yeah, it's quite hilarious when you learn how they keep their arses on the throne. Yeah, and how they use their lovers' arses, and all of it is absolutely stinking. Yeah, and all of them are capable of reincarnation, I now believe. Okay, so, sorry, we're all over the place, so let's get back to Hitler. Hitler family Wikipedia, Whitra, that's the story of Spital. That is where Spital is. It's Czech place, small town in the district of Gmünd in the Austrian state of Lower Austria. And not many people, even the ones that are listening to this video, in its creation in Berwickshire, or just across the bridge from Berwickshire, there is another virus. bear name, meaning, and bear family history and ancestry. And there is Whitra, which is the Spital, and there is the Hitler family tree. But it's much more, here we go. So this is Adolf's relatives in Germany. Yeah, do you get it? That is Houston Stuart Chamberlain. Yeah, he trained in Ireland and Liverpool, and all of it is ultra embarrassing, and then all of them get sent to be propagandists in the wars that they run, and then they go to America in the 30s, yeah, or they become fascists in the 37 protests. They march through the streets of London as fascists with the Sieg Heil sign and the swastika on their arms. And that is the people that then get appointed to being Lord Haw-Haw's trainers. Yeah, that is Oswald Mosley and his lovers and marriages take in the Mitford sisters. There were 7 of them, and 2 of them were girlfriends of Adolf and are pictured with the Nazi rallies which Prince Philip participated in 1937 as they prepared to take Europe to war again. Yeah, let's show you the tree, and then we can get back to other issues. There is Chamberlain, yeah, the Prime Minister for World War I's declaration of war. Okay, and there is Hannah Chandler. No, we're going to have to lay the camera down. Right then. Houston Stuart Chamberlain, husband of Eva Maria Wagner, which is a famous German family. Yeah, and they make you scared of lightning and strikes like that. Yeah, and then they get rid of the gods, yeah, that are called Thor, and that is why the Thor mythology has been laughed at by all of these people, because this is Hitler Rothschild's mythology of replacing the gods by mortals. And there's Basil Hall, Elizabeth Jane Hall from London, Helen Hamilton, Dunbar Hamilton, Charles Congleton, James Hall, Helen Douglas, Sir John Hunter, Henry Orlando Robert Chamberlain, September 1773 to July 1829. He's a Londoner, you see. Henry Fane, MP, Fulbeck, Lincolnshire, and I cannot find... Oh, there's Mary Robinson. That explains quite a lot of things. And so large chunks of their lives were spent in England. And this time, when we go to the bottom, it does not say that they're a royal bloodline. Everything. Oh, yes, it does. Houston is 21 degrees from Peter Roberts, 18 degrees from Emma Smith, and 13 degrees from Henry VIII of England. So, Stefan Heidler, bear name, Whitra, Hitler family, Bridget Dowling. Now these are the best genealogists in world history. That's William Stuart Houston. William Patrick Stuart Houston was the English half-nephew of Adolf Hitler. He was born to Adolf Hitler's half-brother, Alois Hitler Jr., and his Irish wife, Bridget Dowling. That is the Dowling family that are trusted with the keeping of the history of the lineages that have run the world right through all of the world wars. And that is the biggest bloodline tree that has ever been followed and created by the Dowling family. And she recently died, the mother, or the Irish wife, Bridget Dowling, she recently died with dementia. The family lived in a flat at 102 Upper Stanhope Street, which was destroyed in the Blitz. The History Channel aired a 1-hour documentary titled Hitler's Family. Yeah, the roots of the Hitler family tree go back to Stefan Heidler, born 1672, and William Dowling, Bridget's father, threatened to have Alois arrested. Also in that year, he changed his surname to Stuart Houston. Yeah, these are the people that declared war on Britain, I think. And Bridget Dowling had met the man of her dreams at a horse show in their native, in the late 1930s, when all of the English people were being Nazis in the streets in Earl's Court, and that is Randolph Churchill, and all of them are the brothers and the fascist people that run the monarchy, and in 10 Downing Street are siring, using the mother of Bill Clinton, who is a bastard of Winston Churchill, and he was sired in 10 Downing Street, and the mother is Pamela Digby Churchill, and the man who told all of that stories with the pictures has now been murdered and removed from the storytelling, and his name used to be Greg Hallett, and he's got umpteen body doubles and people that pretend that they are still him on the social media. He's the one that told the truth to James Henry Fetzer when he was still alive, that the British royal family, the coronation of Queen Elizabeth II, absolutely coincides with the launching of the BBC. Let's show you how the BBC do that in the early days. So,
I cannot, in this short film, show you examples of all the different types of program which we broadcast. They're astonishingly varied, but here's an impression of some of them, beginning with Picture Page in its original 1937 form.
So this is the earliest broadcast that the BBC have in their archives. Yeah, you'll see that Jesus is in the story, like the video I tried to publish last week, showing Jesus in the story told by Lily Allen, that is the wild ass, that is the zebra, that the Rothschilds use to tow their cart into war. Yeah, in this one, Jesus is the donkey, as it is in the Mafia family movie that is the trilogy, that is the Godfather movie. Just wait till you see the donkey.
BBC Television, this is the switchboard of Picture Page, a topical magazine introducing visitors, types, and personalities. You're through. You're looking at Type Major Matthews, the bagpipe man from Trafalgar Square.
Okay. I have not come here to be made a laughing stock. No, please, please. Remember where you are, and temper your hilarity with a modicum of reserve. Have you heard this one?
We're going to show you one of the visitors in our series of outside broadcasts, Golfers in Action. Our visitor on this occasion is C.A. Whitcomb, who, as most of you know, captained the English Ryder Cup team last year, 1936.
Our grip, we turn the interlock. That is, you interlock the two fingers, placing our thumbs round the shaft.
So that's the stammering king. Yeah, married to Bose Lion, who's a fake. Yeah, she's a whipping boy from downstairs, which is why she was so popular all over the events that she went to, and was a huge racing fan.
Good afternoon, everybody. How are you? Do you remember me, Jasmine Barr? Well, here we are after a lapse of nearly 7 years, ready to start again. And of course...
So it's coincident with the launch of Queen Elizabeth II in the same year and the coronation in the same year. Yeah? And that is why the BBC are royalists right through the history of the story, and that's why all of them are fascists and members of the same families.
We're always terribly excited and thrilled that the great day will at last arrive when this station is once more ready to go on the air.
So the first time I watched this, just about an hour ago, they had the names of all of the people. They've now taken them off because they know that I'm going to do this. That one is a famous singer right into the 1960s, but now it does not tell you who she is. Let's have another look as she first appears. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this time we're out of the coronation year by 9 years. And I believe the Queen had to be called back from darkest Africa, which is now their colonies, so that she could be crowned. With the BBC there to launch the propaganda like they do at the War Memorial Day and the Queen's speech on Christmas Day, unless they're particularly embarrassed that fucking year. Yeah, like Queenie was 2 years ago when Prince Charles had to step off the balcony and actually lay the poppy wreaths with all of the war criminals that were the cabinet members that were all around him, who had taken their armies to Iraq and all of the Holy Lands that were not yet owned by the Rothschild banking dynasty.
Let me welcome viewers in the West who have now joined us here in London. Secondly, let me admit that we are frequently accused of being over-frivolous in these television variety programs of ours. We now therefore proudly present an item in a rather more serious vein. The cameo Cervantes of classic Spain. Don...
So this is the Don Quixote pistake. Yeah, and when they try and make the movie fails. And the same thing happened last year at the Maltings in Berwick, when they tried to entertain the people with the story of Don Quixote and the chivalrous knights that charge the windmills. Yeah, all of it is a massive pistake, and all of it is the replacements of the gods in the heavens. by the Muppets that are in the Monarchy. And that's why they cannot make the Christmas speech if they're particularly embarrassed by information that has been released about their links to the Third Reich and their being the cousins of Adolf Hitler, and Winston Churchill was the cousin of Hitler, like the Queen of England too. And all of them are bastards out of the same bloodline tree, which is sired initially by Rothschild, and then when the wars come along, they have to sire the war criminal leaders like Stalin, Chiang Kai-shek, and all of the Roosevelt family linkages. It is absolutely massive, and all of it is fascist right through to the burial of those people in distant lands, which costs their relatives a fortune. So this is Don Quixote and the piss steak. Yeah, they've tried to make the movie. That is, the Monty Python's team have tried to make the movie around about 20 times through the Monty Python's leader's lifetime. He's I forget what his name is, but every time he tries to make this movie, one of the cast drops down dead, or 2 or 3 do, and that's why at the maltings in Berwick they could not have the ballet version of this as a piss steak. Yeah, so they had to. They tried to make it as a movie, and the hard disk failed at the beginning of that attempt. It's doomed, and the man who makes the massive let's worship these people jokes is Terry Gilliam. Yeah, all of his friends have died in the multiple attempts of him to make this movie. And he's followed me all around Britain. He's the one that slept in the Travelodge hotels with his dog in his bed, and the name of his dog is Suki. And that is Ali G and all of the Rothschilds' massive, let's pretend that we're a humorous family and that we're not guilty of war crimes, and let's make cartoons that take the piss out of the gods.
I'm looking for a knight to fight. You think that I might find one, not too old and not...
So that is what they think is their joke, that Abba is the naming of the Father God, which is why Abba is now used for the godly weather storms that occur every winter, even in Australia in summertime now.
Not too bold. I wouldn't mind a blind one.
Hello, everyone. It's Muffin. It's very late. I think we'd better sing his tune. That ought to do the trick. You sing it with me.
So this, like the zebras for the Rothschilds, is the donkey that is the god that has replaced the real God that gives everybody heart attacks and things if they are defying the fact that there is a God in heaven. Its name is not Jesus. That is the name of the donkey that she's singing about.
We want Muffin, Muffin the mule, dear old Muffin, playing the fool. We want Muffin, everybody sing. We want Muffin the mule. Hello.
So that is Don Quixote's armour, and taking it all around the Hispanic province, and that is where the true King of England, was murdered in Portugal by Edward VII, who is the bastard child of Winston and Lady Randy.
And he looked at us and said, I can now reveal to you that we are a suicide battalion.
So this is now the Goon Show. Yeah, and this time we're into 1950.
There are masked motor brigades inland, trained on the beat. Some of those bombs are bound to fall short. Good luck. Good luck. Good luck.
The windmills that they charge with their swords. Yeah, all of it is the icons for fascism. That is the 4 windmill blades, that is the swastika. And that's why you dance like an Egyptian, so that your limbs can look like the limbs of the swastika, which is the icon for the murderous Freemasons' secret society for 3,000 years.
Bend your knees and stretch them straight. Bend them again. Now put them down. Count 8. Now stretch them right as far as you can. Now bring them up again. Hello. Now this is the second exercise in our new Keep Fit.
So do you get the Dimbleby jokes now? They went to the death camps, broadcast what was happening. They go to all of the royal funerals, yeah, and mourn for the people that the royal family have killed within its family tree. Yeah, and all of that is commissioned by Rothschild, like the siring of the next king.
Supplement look slimmer for spring. Now if we're going to look slim and trim, we've got to think about good posture. Whatever our measurements, providing we hold ourselves beautifully, we must look slimmer and trimmer.
5 seconds. Stand by 2. Stand by the caption scanner.
So this is the launch of the fascist rallies at Crystal Palace and Alexandra Palace. Yeah, and this is way after the war has actually happened, but by that time we're planning the next one, and that means that we need every country across the world to have enough gas to destroy the entire population of the world as we sit in our bunkers and will be perfectly safe as the planners of those policies.
Stand by to cue, Richard. Superimpose. Mix through, Q on 2.
Good evening. Within the last few minutes, we've heard that the Russians have launched another moon rocket.
Central control to regional studios and switching set.
So that is now the launch of the Cold War and the threat that Russia is going to get to the moon before we do, and none of them ever got there other than with a camera in Hollywood where they faked up the moon landing. Yeah, and now they pretend if they want to raise money for initiatives like that again, that is the concept of a debt pool, and that is what they did, and that is why they had a Cold War. Yeah, and during that Cold War, they were already making nuclear devices, and they were making nerve gas devices that could get rid of all of the world's population times 5. Yeah, and that is now the making of the nerve gases in places like Rothschild, where I actually worked as a neuroscientist trying to make pesticides that were safe. Yeah, they don't want the people who are the victims of that genocide to be safe. That is the whole of the launch of the German rocket team into the space program in Houston, where the floods occurred and the gods that create them are still watching when they laugh at them. Yeah, that is the Houston floods, and that is the Harrison region of that place that was flooded in a massive way, and that was when in Scotland we were having those hurricanes and weather storms like we've had in recent weeks. Yeah, it's massively arrogant for them to believe, and that's why all of the families that we're talking about here call themselves Fred Christ Trump was the parent of Donald. Yeah, the Duke of Roxburgh's nickname is he's Guy Insus Care, and that is Guy Innes Care, and that is Guy Jesus Care.
Centres for tonight's regional news opt-outs. Stand by, please. Stand by, Alexandra Palace. Switch out, region, switch out, and cut to Palace.
Now for viewers in London and the South East.
This is the BBC television service. We now present from Studio A, Alexandra Palace, another programme in our series of experimental transmissions in colour.
Early one morning, just as the sun was rising, I heard a maiden sing in the valley below. Oh, don't deceive me, oh, never leave me. How could you use a poor maiden?
So that is the American Pie joke right through world history. That is the Fanny down below. Fabulous concept, and they think that that is the meaning of life, and it allows them to get away with things like Brexit, which is merely the braying Italian donkey that is Jesus, and the piss take that is the BBC, right through its lengthy period of fascist leadership for this country. Even the heads of police are fakes up and are on the boards of Rupert Murdoch's children's massive billionaire businesses, some of which are called the Future of Russia Foundation, since they murdered the Tsars in Russia.
So, remember
Hold it there.
the vows that you made to your
Tighten it a bit, John. Use that little bit of red behind her shoulder. That's it. Going to 2.
Short 3 on 2. Oh, never leave me. How could you use a poor maiden's song?
There's a bit green in the shadows on the left. Isn't that shading?
Yes, we'll have to change the green cube tomorrow.
You mean today, don't you?
So that is the DVD Deutsche Nazis that still believe, like von Braun of the rocket program, that they were going to win the war, and that is why Boris Johnson is changed his name to Johnson, because he's actually a pfeffer. Yeah, he is a Nazi, and all of them are Bullingdon boys, all of them are absolute fascists, and they all used to attend those Nazi rallies in London and Manchester and all over the place, where the Mitford sisters were married to Oswald Mosley, and that is the Seven Sisters, and you can see that all of them become the lovers of Hitler and are pictured with the zebras that are the wild ass again in the photos just before the war. Prince Philip and his sister, who died in the secret meetings in 1937 to Berlin.
Well, good evening. And as I said a few minutes ago, only I understand nobody could hear me, welcome to BBC Two from where it all began, here in Studio A in Alexandra Palace. Now it's the newsroom of Channel 2, and tonight of all...
So Alexander is the first Piso Pope. Do you get it? Yeah, all of that revealed in my research with Sean Maguire and James Henry Fetzer, who's now changed sides since Greg Hallett was murdered. Yeah, and it's Greg Hallett, once again, who tells us that the people that are in the royal hearings are actors. They're not actually real judges or lawyers. Yeah, and that, once again, is a family called Hamilton. In this case, it's Ian Hamilton. And some of them are lovely families.
Nights, there has been a loss of electric power at our main studios, the television centre in West London. It's due, we are told, to a failure in a 60,000 volt feeder at Iver in Bucks, 186 feet high. Excuse me, just like Channel 1. Hello? Unlike Channel 1, there's nobody there. Some tape handed to me now. Widespread electricity failures reported in London tonight. The power failure halted underground trains. Let's try again. Hello? Yes, I can. Mm-hmm. Right you are. Right. Goodbye. As you can imagine, there's a good deal of rushing about going on behind the scenes. The London power failure halted underground trains on the central line between Northolt and West Ruislip. So if anyone's not home yet, perhaps that accounts for...
Oh, that's the other place where they held the Nazi rallies. Yeah? And all of the Churchill family that are the parents of the illegitimate royals that have been illegitimate ever since for 165 years, since Queen Victoria was raped by Rothschild, and the uncle of that Rothschild. That's why they're called the King of Kings. And their penises are the goldfish. Do you get it now? Loaves and fishes.
For it. BBC Television Centre, Shepherd's Bush, blacked out 25 minutes before the scheduled start of BBC Two's first programme at 7:20. Well, something has started.
Well, the proof will come when we take the top off, won't it, Mr. Barrett, eh?
Yes.
So, all of the usual families, still with the BBC even today, still massive piss takers, still interviewing Arsenal football players because they know that they are related to the pharaohs of Egypt. Yeah, that is the Arsenal pharaoh bloodline tree for the pyramids that all of these bastards represent as fascists.
Oh, look at that. Lovely.
Oh, yes, it is.
Look at that. You know,
Yes, that is.
you look nice and runny and white set. Just how I like it.
Yes, so do I.
So that's the second coming. Yeah, hilarious, like the American Pie. And all of them think that they are the only people in the world that know those stories. Who wrote the Book of Love? American Pie. It's the Bible author, which is the naming of the police for 2,000 years. And the Masons are at least 1,000 years older than that, which is why the Swiss swastika was all over Asia when it was sacked by the Christians.
Now, the way in which we define rate of change, indeed the way in which we calculate it even, is a very sophisticated mathematical process. But we can get an idea of what's going on if we look at the graphs of functions.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, ends this film transmission from the BBC television station at Alexandra Palace. We shall be on the air again at the advertised time. Until then, goodbye, everybody.
So, that is 1937 and the launch of the BBC to help the Queen look legitimate as one of the bastards of the Rothschild line. Yeah, and that is the biggest crime that has ever occurred in world history, because that is the launch of the New World Order, the taking of all of the world's taxes from its countries and the paying into the bank accounts of every federal bank in the world that is now owned by the Rothschild family and their muppets that are just happen to be the heads of police. Cressida Dick, all of them are actually murderers, and all of them are from the bloodlines that help to cover up the fact that the family names that are being used are, like Alexander, the earliest opportunists in religion to actually launch a false god which is called Jesus. Yeah, and all of it is the Brexit story, the braying Italian donkey. Yeah, and we could finish with this little movie clip, if I can find it. Let's get the braying donkey. I forget what the name of it was in the earliest BBC productions. So let's look up Donkey Godfather. Yeah, and I bet my camera fails during this. Let's get it seen.
Benvenuto. Io sono molto onorato, sono molto bello che voi avete fatto tutta questa strada da Palermo per venirmi a trovare.
Che picciolista, è cresciuto.
Do the donkey for me. Sorry, that was not very good. Let's get another version of it. There he is. Part 3, the donkey scene.
Che picciolista, è cresciuto.
So that's why my Lily Allen videos were blocked. That is Jesus going into orbit on the cross with Lily Allen. Blocked without any reason because Lily Allen is a buffoon like everybody in world religious history.
Well, shame.
And that's why Prince Harry got bitten by a donkey when he went to Edinburgh. And let's show you now Jesus being carried into the stonings. Pythons, donkey, stoning. And all of the actors are actually billionaires. The B-Arians.
Oh, I ain't wearing these beards. Why aren't women allowed to go to stonings, Mum? It's written, that's why. Beard, madam.
Oh, Luke, I haven't got time to go to no stonings. He's not well again.
Stone, sir? No, they've got them up there, lying around on the ground. Oh, not like these, sir. Look at these.
So I think that's enough, yeah? That is the meaning of life that makes all of those Oxbridge graduates billionaires so that they can laugh at their maker, which is why now they are passing on big time. Yeah, and even the garments tell the story, like Lily Allen in Outer Space. But she's copyrightable, and so are they, and so are all of the icons that lead us into war for Rothschild so that they can take over every federal bank on this earth. Let's stop there. Let's just hear the donkey braying again. That's Brexit, remember.
Beard, madam.
Oh, Luke, I haven't got time to go to no stonings. He's not well again.
Stone, sir? No, they've got them up there, lying around on the ground. Oh.
All of them billionaires now with cancer, which is why they will not replay the attendants that were the Monty Python's billionaires, who were all in wheelchairs at the funeral of the Titanic actor that was Bill Paxton. Yeah, Jennifer Aniston, who's actually a character which is named after the Bible author Arius Piso. That is, Ariston was one of his nicknames. Jennifer declared that it was tragic that Bill Paxton had passed on, and all of the Python's characters that were at his funeral were in wheelchairs. Bye-bye. Signing off. Yeah, we could show you Oswald Mosley at the fascist rallies, and that would help you to see exactly why the wars are launched. And the poor people are in the fucking trenches, and the fascists are in the banks. No, I cannot see. Anyway, that's enough. All of them are intertwined with Rothschild semen, and all of it is an intimate part of every comedy that is ever made, and that is the worshipping of a false icon, which even the Bible declares we're not allowed to do. But Lily Allen can do it, yeah, and she is still trying to get back home to heaven. But because her copyrights allow you to block the videos. That is why we cannot have sensible and rational government, and the Brexit story becomes corrupted like the BREYING, which is the life of Brian.